Hello and welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I'm going to be going over how to stop letting feelings of stress and overwhelm turn into emotional eating. And I'll be going through 5 steps that you can take in order to do this. So my name is Michaela Carpenter and I'm a nutrition and life coach. I specialize in helping people heal their relationship with food, in particular overcoming things like restrictive dieting and emotional eating. So we'll hop right into today's video. So step number 1 is to recognize why you're turning towards the food. So obviously in terms of this video, I'm talking about the emotional eating side of it, but it's also really important to recognize if there's hunger there as well, because if we're feeling hungry as well as having that tug that's making us want to emotionally eat, that habit that has been formed that is causing us to want to emotionally eat, by being hungry as well, we are obviously making it a lot harder on ourselves to be able to work through that, because we have obviously the physiological urge to eat and urge for energy, as well as the psychological urges that we have around reaching for the food, which is obviously a learned habit that we need to kind of be able to work through. But anyway, it's just important to recognize if it's not just the emotional side of it, if there is hunger there too, because that needs to be worked through as well. That is step number 1. The second step is to recognize the avoidance habit that has been formed. So when we emotionally eat, this phrase is used a lot, but it's important to really understand what is behind that. So when we emotionally eat, it oftentimes is coming from some sort of avoidance of feelings, some sort of numbing, wanting to kind of get away from a certain feeling. And you may be aware of this, but it's important to dig into this and to understand why it is causing you, what it is that you are actually trying to avoid. So basically facing the things that you are trying to avoid. So by asking yourself these questions and really getting curious about why it is that you are feeling stressed or overwhelmed, you give yourself the opportunity to make changes, adjust. Maybe it's the thoughts that you're holding around certain things. You're giving yourself the power to actually make changes, rather than just feeling that way, thinking that way, and just letting it stay the same and kind of turning towards food as a way to cope with that, because that's kind of what you've always done. It's important to start, and obviously you have to be ready and at a place where you feel like you can obviously deal with those thoughts and emotions that are coming up. But it's important to get to do that, because if you don't do that, then you will just keep finding other ways of distracting from these thoughts and feelings, and that is where the emotional eating is coming from. And even if we are able to distract, which I did for a long time as well, I distracted. I didn't really know what the real cause was, and I didn't really know how to deal with it. But if we do that, then it can work. It can definitely work for a bit, but life will always come, things in life will always come up where we can't distract for some reason, or we can't do whatever we're planning on doing for some reason, so we turn towards food again, because what else are we meant to do? That's how we cope. So it's important to recognize how this habit has been formed because you are trying to avoid something, and it's important to start facing that thing that you are trying to avoid. So yeah, it's also important to realize that to unlearn the coping mechanism of emotional eating, it takes a lot of time and persistence, and you do need to be very kind and gentle with yourself in doing this, and not just let a slip up or turning towards food again when something goes wrong mean that you're just back where you were, because that's not what it means at all. It means you can look at it as a learning opportunity, a way to keep moving forward, and you can ask yourself, what could I do different next time, rather than just letting it become something where you're like, oh well, I'm stuck, I can't overcome this, just using it as more negative thoughts and self-talk about yourself and your situation, which obviously just feeds back into the emotional eating. So yeah, that is step number 2. The third step, which kind of helps with the second step and is like a physical thing for you to be able to actually stop, is to stop the habit in its tracks. So make yourself think first and ask yourself questions before you emotionally eat. So if you find yourself about to emotionally eat, really just allowing yourself that space and time before you go and eat, to really just sit down and write down some thoughts and really question why you're feeling a certain way and what's going on. This can be a really powerful exercise and really help just break up and get you to really think about what is going on, rather than just the automatic habit of emotionally eating coming as soon as you feel a certain way. And obviously with this automatic sort of habit that comes and is emotional eating, it's important to also oftentimes have some sort of physical reminder, even just having a post-it note on your fridge or something like that, just telling yourself to really give yourself that time so that you have that physical reminder, so when you go to reach towards a certain food or whatever it is, you are not forced, but like it gives you the opportunity to stop and to just have a think. And I also encourage you not to tell yourself, I'm not going to emotionally eat, because that can often drive us to really want to more. Like if we're able to stop ourselves from talking like that to ourselves in the first place, in the future, it probably isn't going to work the same as it did in the past. So I think and also it can make us not want to even do the exercise, because we're like, well, I really do want to emotionally eat, so I'm not going to commit to not emotionally eating. So to do this, just tell yourself, I can eat the food, but I just need to make sure I take this time for myself first to kind of at least understand why I'm doing it. Give yourself that space to, and that kindness to allow yourself that space to understand what is going on for you. So that is step number 3. So step number 4 is to find a healthier habit to take its place. So if you have done the exercise of writing down your thoughts and stuff, and you're feeling okay about not emotionally eating, and you really would like to avoid it, which, I mean, if you're on this video, you probably do, then you could think about what else you could do in that time. And I do highly recommend you don't always try and find something to replace it. I think it's really important to be able to sit in those feelings and those thoughts, and to really just let them be, and recognize that they don't harm you, and they do pass. I think this is a really important thing to do. And I think creating healthier habits, not necessarily to take its place, which obviously I have written in the article. I think it's more so to kind of direct you in the right direction. So whether that's making sure you're eating enough through the day, and just really making sure you are nourishing your body and not nourishing your body. But yeah, so that is step number 4. Step number 5 is sit with your emotions and don't run. So I did mention this in the one before this, but it's really important to be able to sit with those emotions and recognize that they are not harming you. Like, they're not physically harming you. It is really just a mental game. Like, not a mental game, but like it's a mental thing. Like, if we are able to sit and recognize that the worst thing that happens when we're feeling like that is our heart racing, or we pit in our stomach, feelings like that, when we recognize that that's all it is, like it doesn't go any further than that can be really empowering. So it's important to be able to sit with those feelings so that you don't feel like you have to block those feelings. So that is all the steps I have for overcoming or stopping feelings of stress and overwhelm from turning into emotional eating. So really in today's video, it was around the importance of the awareness around why we're doing it, because if we don't fully understand why, like to the level of our thoughts and stuff, then we're not able to really create changes in the way we are thinking and the way we are reacting by reaching for the food when we are feeling a certain way. So understanding where this is coming from is really important in doing this. That is all for today's video, and I hope you enjoyed it. What am I saying? I upload videos every week, so make sure you subscribe, and I will see you all next week.